Chào mọi người. Thì hôm nay rất là một chương trình rất là đặc biệt đến từ P.o.P, là chúng mình sẽ có một cuộc phỏng vấn với một khách mời rất là đặc biệt ngày hôm nay, và chị ấy sẽ là chuyên gia để mà giải đáp cho chúng ta về lối sống 5R. Thì mọi người mong là mọi người sẽ lắng nghe thật là chăm chú và có thêm được nhiều kiến thức mới từ chị nha. Okay, so good morning. Can you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Chào mọi người. My name's Chloe. I'm 20 years old. I'm a student at the University of Melbourne, a third year. I major in politics, and I also work at a climate policy organisation, and I work at Trinity College as a sustainability manager.
Okay, so Chloe, can you, because you have known that P.o.P is an organization that we're gonna raise the awareness for the young people about sustainability. So can you tell us about how did you start become interested in sustainability?
I think I started becoming interested in sustainability during my later years in high school, but I think also because I grew up in a rural regional environment, it was kind of always around me, kind of working with the environment and with the earth and just being aware of those kind of things. I think my work with sustainability at least became a lot more present during university, during my internships and my current occupation and job. But yeah, I think it started off pretty early on, working on farms, and then kind of in class and with clubs and things like that in high school. Yeah.
Oh, so can you tell us more about your work at Better Future Australia and how can the audience support your work?
Okay. My work at Better Futures Australia is more policy-based work and also raising awareness and educating the general population. So the main ways in which you can engage with that would probably be through our policy dialogues and webinars where we get professionals in to talk about how to be sustainable in different sectors and how you can work with and kind of learn from how sustainability is approached from different sectors and spaces in our daily life, from even just health to agriculture and things like that, but also just on an education basis. And yeah.
Oh, as you said, you're also still studying in third year in UniMel, but also working at the same time. So it's the same for our audience because they are also students. Yeah. So do you have any tips if they want to start in sustainability and live a better life?
I think maybe just the most starter ways to start living sustainably and being more environmentally conscious would be to start being aware of your waste and consumption habits, to start being more aware of how often you use single-use plastics, and just small habit changes are really useful at this stage in our lives and your lives.
So there has been a trend about the low waste lifestyle recently, and it contains about the 5R rules. So can you tell the audience what is the 5R rules?
Okay, is to refuse, and then reduce, reuse, and recycle. And there's rot at the end as well.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
So today I think we're gonna dive deeper in that concept through making a Vietnamese food. Okay. So have you ever tried Vietnamese food before?
A little bit. I have a friend who's Vietnamese, and so they take me out for Vietnamese food every now and then. But I don't think I've had Vietnamese snacks. Yeah.
This one is kind of snack, but you can eat it at a main meal too. I call it snack because it's quite easy to make, but it still required dedication to make it. So do you want to guess the name?
I'm not gonna be able to guess the name.
It's relate to the season right now.
I'm not gonna be able to guess it. It's currently spring though here.
It's spring, yeah.
Spring rolls.
Oh, spring rolls, yes.
Yeah.
Thì hôm nay thì cái thử thách mà tụi mình sẽ đem tới cho chị Chloe đó chính là làm một gói cuốn. Và mọi người nếu mà có gì thì thông cảm cho Hà, bởi vì là những cái nguyên liệu này Hà tự chuẩn bị và khả năng nấu nướng của Hà cũng khá là có hạn, cho nên là nếu mà có sai sót gì thì mọi người cũng thông cảm. Nhưng mà nói chung là đây là một cái ví dụ để mà có thể cho mọi người hình dung được là khi mà mình đi chợ và mình nấu cơm thì mình có thể áp dụng cái quy tắc 5R vào cuộc sống như thế nào nha. So we have here a grocery bag, and as you see, like there's plastic outside. So I want you to look at this plastic bag and explain us about the 5R rules.
So to start off, the 5R rules are set in a hierarchy. So probably start with refuse. So if I was given the option of this plastic bag and one that I'd already have myself, maybe like a fabric one that I could use on the regular throughout my life, or even just to like purchase out of the two, I'd probably refuse this one and use something I already have, or a different option.
So what kind of items that we can refuse? Like, is it something that we don't need, or?
So the first kind of items that I'd think of refusing are items that you either don't need, or there's a better option for. It's like an option that you can use more regularly, that is made from more sustainable materials, that's going to last longer, something that isn't plastic, that kind of thing.
Oh, so like for some of us, it's kind of hard to refuse when someone gives us something. Like for example, when we go to the shopping mall and they just like automatically just give us a bag so that we can bring it home. So how can you like give us a recommendation how to refuse like politely?
Okay, I might give two recommendations. One might be to, if you know you're going to go shopping, to bring a different option. So instead of saying no, you're saying, oh, I already have something. So you're less, it feels a bit less mean, at least for me.
Yeah.
And then a way to like say no, and maybe if there was a different option and to ask for that, might just be to politely say, oh no, that's okay, could I have this instead, kind of thing.
So yeah, like she have gave us some like, instead of saying no directly, we can like try to say that, oh, we have a bag here, so can you put it in my bag politely, and that would be okay. Also, can you tell us like the advantage of like using the word refuse in
Cool. I think it's more openly describing that it's your choice, and that it might be a choice that they could take as well. So I think it more opens up discussion for your consumption habits and, around like the people that are present and the other person as well. At least that would be my perspective on that.
Because like when we look at the model of the 5R rules, like refuse is at the top, and it's like the biggest, like it's like an inverted triangle.
Yeah.
So like why the refuse is at the biggest? Does it mean that we can eliminate a lot of trash?
I think refuse is at the top because it's the best way to stay away from and reduce your consumption of plastics. It's a way to lower the amount of plastic in our environment and around us, because if a larger amount of people were refusing these products, there wouldn't be as many around us because the consumption would go down and they wouldn't be producing as many. So yeah.
Okay, so I think we're done with the refuse. So we're gonna refuse this bag and put it away. Can you tell us what word is that?
Reduce.
Yeah. Okay. So I have here the first two ingredients for in Vietnamese it's called gói cuốn, spring rolls. Yeah. So this is rice paper, and this is noodles. We call it bún. Okay. So for items like this, we cannot really refuse the package because they come with it.
Yeah.
So can you explain for us what it reduce and what we're gonna do with these things?
Maybe in this level, because I agree, like you can't refuse these kind of things. They're already packaged. There's not many other options for you. It might be just to reduce the amount of times either you're purchasing it, if that's an option for you, or to make sure that what you're buying in these packages aren't going to waste.
Like I get confused between refuse and reduce sometimes. So like, can you like differentiate them in your way?
So refuse and reduce, at least in my mind, the main differences would be between saying, no, I'm not going to purchase these, which for many of us, I'm sure isn't an option.
Yeah, true.
So that's not really an option for this. Whereas for a bag, like, yeah, we have other options, whereas there aren't really other options for this.
Okay.
Rather, reduce the amount of times you're buying things in these plastics, which, because this is food, the best approach I'd probably take is to make sure we're not wasting any of the food inside before we go back and buy a second one, or to look into other options.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on the one that we should check if we have that ingredient in our fridge, because like yesterday I bought this one and I opened my cupboard and I realized I already have this package. Like, it hurts, like it wastes both my money and
exactly.
material.
Economically, it also helps. Yeah,
true. Can you tell us like the advantage of reducing? Like, it's gonna share and save your time, or?
Yeah. So for reducing, there are a couple advantages. Firstly, you're not putting more plastic into the environment, and you're reducing your like consumption habits of these plastics, and then also economically, it's just a really good choice to make sure you're not buying, like overbuying for yourself or for your family, or for your friends, and just to make sure that nothing's really going to waste.
Like, I have noticed this interesting fact, like some day before, like I went to Coles and I bought some tissue box, but then I take like 3 or 4, and then the seller, they said that you can only take 2 boxes.
In Australia, there are a couple rules around how much of an item you can take from a grocery at the same time. So if you were to come back again the next day, you'd be able to take another set. But I think this is also just to make sure people aren't taking too many supplies, also because during COVID there was a lack
hoarding.
Hoarding, exactly. And it's just to get to make sure no one's getting into those habits of taking too much for themselves and keeping it there, so that when they run out they'll have it, which is great. But then also, what if you go back and like, oh, I need it, and then you get some and you bring it back, but you do already have something else and you've just forgotten about it. Just like small things like that.
So I think that reducing, there's a lot of advantage. Like, you can like reflect like your consumption habits. Like, do you really need it? And also, you won't like, I have like noticed like the habit of hoarding more often during COVID era. So like reducing really like give you like the habit like to share more rather than just taking those things for yourself only. Like, so that's,
I agree. Specifically during COVID, it's a good time to kind of be aware of your habits and like consumption habits specifically, because there are many around you that also need similar things and similar products.
So wow, like, it's also like relate to like things that relate to moral.
The next letter would be to reuse. So in this situation, I can see that you have the jar that's being reused. And that's a great way to, rather than like wrap things in plastics and keep them in jars. And it's also a great way for you, rather than to have chucked this out and to rather than dispose of that, to give it another use, such as to contain vegetables and keep them in.
Okay. So like the concept of reuse, it's like about you use it like the maximum capacity of the stuff that you have, right?
Yeah. So a basic way to understand reuse is to look at something before you throw it out and think about like, can I use this for something else? And this also feeds into an idea that like, instead of buying something else, is there something that I have that could fulfill that role just as well?
Okay. So these are like the vegetables, as you can see. So we have cucumber, and this is cabbage. Like, it's actually, we should not eat spring rolls with cabbage. It should be salad. So please, mọi người đừng có giận Hà bởi vì là xài cải bắp nha, bởi vì salad mới đúng, nhưng mà lỡ mua rồi. So cho nên là mình phải luôn luôn check tủ lạnh trước khi mà mình đi chợ là vậy đó.
So for the fourth word would be recycle, which would be once that you're finished with a product, and instead of putting it in a waste bin or letting it go to landfill, you'd think about the option of putting it in the recycling and make sure that it goes in a recycling bin so that it can be put into it can be taken care of as waste in a more environmentally friendly way than it would be if you're putting it in a waste bin.
So it's like recycling is like you create, like for example, this plastic bottle of sauce. You're gonna like, when we finish the sauce, we're gonna cut it into a new product, or we just...
There are a couple options, but I think the ones that are most well known is that it could get another life as a different product in the future once it's put into recycling. But there are a couple options, but yeah.
Oh, like because like in Vietnam, people considering recycling is like the ultimate option for green life. Like, oh, you should buy things that can be recycled, and that like it just like push people to buy more products.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than refuse here.
Yeah, I think that is something in Australia as well, and it's something in a lot of countries that we've all been taught from a young age that recycling is the most important thing, and it is really important, but I think it's also useful to be aware of that there are many other steps before going to recycling.
So like you said, like we should like minimize like the recycle as much as possible. Like it's like, because it's like literally like the bottom step of the 5 R.
One of the last steps.
So can you tell us like what items that we can recycle?
Yeah. So there are quite a few options. So like cardboard, hard plastics, paper, depending on what it's made from, but normal paper, usually good. So my understanding of ROT is at the end of the 5 categories is to make sure that your food waste and also garden waste is put into like compost and is made sure that it biodegrades and isn't just put into a normal waste bin, because that can make issues with the other materials in the waste bin and that kind of stuff. And also with compost, you're kind of helping the environment more directly.
Like because some of us like live in the apartment, and I don't think we can really like rot the leftover food.
Yeah. I think also in my mind that's why it's one of the last categories, because it's not open for everyone.
Yeah.
For instance, I wouldn't also be able to participate in this as openly and as often, I think. But for some people it is an option, and in some communities, at least in Australia, there is like a compost kind of station for the whole community and a compost bin, and there are now compost bins coming out in Australia. Some communities have them, some don't, and they're to put your food waste directly in. They have a blue lid now.
Yeah. Okay, now can you like sum up for us like what are the benefits of the 5R in general, and how can we apply it in our real life, like doing shopping or anything aspect?
Cool. So I think one of the main benefits of the 5 R's is to firstly become aware of your consumption habits and see them as habits that you can change and something that you have control over. And also just to live a more sustainable life that is less dependent on single-use products. So starting from the top, if we have a single-use product such as a plastic bag or something along those lines. Also, I know a lot of people at uni, the takeaway cups, when we get we get coffee, lots of people would refuse that and bring like a
the bottle.
So that would be kind of one of the ways to practice this. But then also there would be to reduce as the second one, which is reduce the amount of times that you're consuming these single-use products if you cannot refuse them outright. So just to be aware of how often you're buying these and if you really need it. And then probably would be to reuse would be the next one. I don't know if this is like a big thing in Vietnam, but like donating like your clothes or like items and things like that. Like we had a clothes swap between all the colleges recently at the start of spring, so everyone like thought about the clothes that they weren't going to wear for spring, and we got them all together, and heaps of people came and got really excited about like swapping clothes, because there were so many clothes in people's wardrobes that they're like, oh, I won't need, but then someone else was able to wear that, and instead of to go out and buy new clothes for spring, kind of thing.
Like you actually mentioned like a challenge that in our project that we also include is that look through your wardrobe and see if you can donate any new clothes.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah.
Also, I just want to clarify for our audience is that the 5R rules is not about trying to buy like biodegradable products as much as possible, but more about controlling
controlling your habits. It's about more looking at other options rather than buying more products that will be recyclable. However, I think because recycling is at the end of the list, it is to be aware that if you really do need this product, if there's no other option, if you can't reuse a different product to fulfill that role, then like a product that can be recycled over one that can't is a better option. But there are many steps that you can take before you get there.
True. Yeah. Okay, just a little message for our audience because they might feel like tempted because of all the information. They feel like, oh, I'm too bad, I cannot do it.
I'd probably say that I think like lots of us have been in that position of feeling a bit like, I don't know if I can really do this. It's like a lot. Is to just think about like really simple stuff because that's kind of where you start and that's where like changing these simple habits are really helpful even if they just feel really small. So like opting for a tote bag, like just little daily habits can be really kind of helpful and make a massive difference. And to just like think of that when you're like doing it out, like even just to, if you've gone somewhere and you've forgotten your tote bag and you're feeling really bad about it, just to be like, well, at least I remembered and I know and I'll think about it for next time.
Okay. So do you think like when you got into sustainability, how did it like change you?
I think it was like, it started really small, like in high school and when I was younger, and just felt kind of like it was a normal part of life and that kind of thing. But then in like university, it's become more of my daily life habits. So it's become like, even if you start really small with small little habits and things like that, it just becomes a normal part of your life and something that you kind of have just surrounded yourself with. And it just makes you like appreciate things a little bit more, I think. Yeah.
Oh, and did that also like influence some of your friends?
Yeah, I both have made lots of friends that like have influenced me as well, and my habits through my like work and also just at uni, and have just like made me aware of things that I also wasn't aware of before, and also like some of my friends as well. If I see them like taking like a takeaway container that's like that can be recycled, but I'm like, you have a container that you could just use in your room. To just like remind them, they're like, oh my gosh, I do, and then like I see them doing that in the future because it's not that they didn't have the option, it's more that they just forgot about it.
Yeah, true.
It happens to everyone.
It's okay. Like it's sometimes like a fun situation rather than like make them feel guilty.
It's not about making them feel bad at all.
It's okay. Like this is aside from the 5R rules, but you also share that you are a vegetarian.
For me, my story of being a vegetarian is also linked to I don't like love the taste of meat. Sorry,
that's rare.
That's really controversial. But also when I got older, because I've been vegetarian for quite a long time now, when I got older, just being aware of like the meat industry and how much like fossil fuels they kind of contribute to our environment, and just being like, oh well, that's really kind of something that I'm glad I'm like taking a part in. But I also know it's not an option for everyone. Lots of people need to get their iron through those sources rather than other sources, and I have like family members and friends that have tried and like it just doesn't work because they're like, you can get sick if you don't have the right amount.
It's the same for some of the kids in Vietnam. Like, personally, like I saw that my parents said that like I should eat broccoli since I'm still growing.
Yes, exactly.
True. I agree on that. But I still trying like to have like one day in a week to reduce meat.
I think that's like one of the best ways to do it is like and we also talk about at college and uni a lot, is if it's not an option to be fully vegetarian, just to think about like other options, like one day a week or a couple times a week to eat a meal without meat.
Okay, so we have prepared like the ingredients to make spring rolls today. And okay, I'm gonna introduce the materials to you. So as I said, this is rice paper, and this is noodles or bún, and the vegetables, which is cabbage and cucumber. And because normally we're gonna eat spring rolls with pork and shrimp. But yes, today we're gonna make it special with fried
Thank you
tofu.
for that. Thank you.
Yeah, I really want to try to eat vegetarian spring rolls one day. So how it's gonna be different. And we have some water here so that because the rice paper it's kind of crunchy, and we need the water to make it sticky so that we can roll it. And last, this is the hoisin sauce that we can eat with pho. But yeah, I have like put some garlic and like pour some water with the original paste so that it's gonna taste good. Okay, so I think we're gonna get started. So I think I'm gonna demonstrate first.
Okay.
Rolls, because like normally for teenagers like we just rolled it and we just eat it immediately, so we don't really care about the decoration. But yeah, the final
It looks so nice.
Yeah, it was like look tight like that. So leave this aside. It's your turn to try.
Stress.
Okay, it's okay. Okay, the water. There's gonna be oil, so.
Would that be enough water?
Yeah. I think you should like turn it this side so then you can roll it up.
Ah, yes.
Okay, you can take your chopstick and nice. You should put it up a little bit so it's not gonna stick out.
Would that be good?
Yeah, right. Noodles. More noodles.
You had to be conscious of only having a little bit. So yeah, there we go. Is that good?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I should have like chopped the cucumbers more like into thinner slice. But yeah, I think we can still throw it. Yeah, take the one that I've already cut it. Okay,
Good.
yeah, it's time to roll the important part.
Stress.
Yeah, it's okay. In the meanwhile, I'll try to. Ooh. Yeah. I think you did it. Yeah, careful. Yeah, more water at this place, so it's gonna stick. Oh my god!
Because you're a great teacher. That's why.
Wait.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Try the thing on the side as well.
Wow. So finally we're just gonna dip in. Yeah, and try it.
Do you want to eat some with me?
Yeah, you can try it first. Reaction time. It feels fresh, right? It feels fresh. Like the sauce, is it too salty?
No, it's good.
It's good, right?
It's really good. It's fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why like most Vietnamese they love to eat everything with vegetables. So that's why like replacing meat is not always a big deal.
Yeah.
Because we always have some fresh products. So last questions. So can you tell like your overall feelings about today's interview?
I feel very honoured to have been able to come here and talk about this like issue with you and just raise some awareness. And thank you for bringing food as well.
Glad you enjoyed
It's very
it.
tasty. But I also think like the 5 hours are just really important for young people and is something that you can just use in your everyday life. So it's like valuable knowledge. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna teach you the last sentence. Try it, like to say
Sorry
goodbye.
if I fail.
It's okay. It's gonna be tạm biệt mọi người.
Tạm biệt moi, moi.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, 1, 2, 3.
Tạm biệt, moi, noi.
So if you guys want, nếu mà mọi người muốn theo dõi thêm thông tin về nguyên tắc 5R thì có thể tìm hiểu qua các cái bài đăng trước của P.o.P. Và ngoài ra thì cũng hãy ủng hộ những công việc của chị Chloe nha. Thì cảm ơn mọi người đã lắng nghe và mong mọi người đã có thật là nhiều kiến thức hữu ích vào ngày hôm nay. Rồi, chào tạm biệt tất cả mọi người. Bye bye. Yeah.